everyone. Welcome to Conversations That Matter Most. My name is Claudette Chenevet, and my co-host is
Me, Sharona. Hi, everybody. Greetings and salutations. We're here
so
today.
yeah, excellent, nice. And so today we want to talk a little bit about procrastination because it's something that we don't talk a lot about, but we feel, and there's different ways of dealing with procrastination. And most of it, people talk about it in a negative way. We're going to talk about procrastination in a positive way, in a different kind of way, right, Sharona?
Yeah, we're gonna look at, some of the things we're gonna talk about today is we're gonna talk about procrastination. We'll talk a little bit about something called pre-crastination. We'll talk a little bit about in our conversation a little bit about why sometimes we do procrastinate and what are the benefits of procrastination.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Me too.
So, just a little introduction about who we are in case you don't know who we are. So, my name is Claudette Chenevet, and I'm known as the StepMom coach. And so, I work with stepmoms who are feeling overwhelmed and stressed out and wondering where to go next. And so, I help them create a strong and healthy relationship within their step family. And they do that by sharing them some strategies that will really make a difference in their lives. So, Sharona, what is it that you do?
Well, one of the things I do is I'm known as the midlife transition and transformation specialist, and I work with midlife women who are dancing with change and who are struggling with that change, and really are ready or really having this quest to thrive wholeheartedly in body, mind, and spirit. And I help them and support them and be their faithful sidekick as they uh, move through transition and transformation so that they regain or reclaim their joy, their freedom, and their confidence.
I love it. I think, there's so many of us out there that really need to reclaim our confidence and to live and thrive in our lives. And so part of that is that we want to talk about is procrastination because it's part of our life. And I think at some point we all procrastinate a little bit, and some maybe a lot more than others. And so let's start with why we procrastinate. And I think, when we start understanding why we procrastinate, then it helps us to, move forward and understand what we can do about it. And then we'll talk about why it may be a good thing to procrastinate, as Sharona said. So why are we procrastinating? So Sharona, why do you ever procrastinate?
Oh, darling. Oh, darling, darling. I can procrastinate as the best of them. And I could be the only one, but I don't think so. so
You're right. I think I'm good at procrastinating also, especially if it's something that is huge, big, not sure how to deal or handle. Those are the type of things I'll procrastinate on. So what about you? Why is it that you procrastinate?
I think well, you know what? Here's the thing. I want to talk. Well, here's the thing. I am not a chronic procrastinator. I do not, and I think I've heard that only 20% of the population actually are chronic procrastinators. I'm talking about the procrastination where I feel a little nervous, a little scared, not sure what I'm doing,
Yeah.
or it's something I really don't want to do. It's like my inner 5-year-old says, "No, I don't want to do that. No, that doesn't sound like fun." So I think some of the reasons that people might procrastination may be fear, maybe feeling vulnerable, maybe
Yeah.
there's this thing of I really don't want to do it. It's not fun. It feels like a chore. I think one of the things I always, one of my, I was working with this woman who decided that she was getting a treadmill to do exercise. She never used it. And then going through some steps and and, having conversations about it, she hated treadmills. So she kept procrastinating on it because it was the wrong fit. And I think that's the other thing is sometimes, yes, there's certain things we have to do as people, as midlife women, as stepmoms, but there are also ways of making it so that it works for our styles. How about you, Claudette? What are some reasons that you procrastinate?
So sometimes it's just that I have too much doing on my plate. And so instead of saying no to something, I'll say yes, thinking that I have a lot of time, and then timing is off. And then, then it becomes an excuse. The timing becomes an excuse.
Right.
And like fear. I've worked with some stepmoms who are very fearful of making some changes in their lives. And so they procrastinate on making those changes. They know inside them they need to do something different, but they're procrastinating because fear of change, right?
Right.
Fear of change. And you talked about vulnerability. I think that's really important. There's fear of showing up, not knowing everything. And I know that's part of who I am sometimes, that fear of not showing up or not knowing what I'm supposed to know on any given task. And therefore, I procrastinate on taking action.
Yeah, and I want to add to that. I think not only the fear of change or fear of not knowing, but I think there's like the fear of judgment or fear of rejection, and that's the other thing. I'm not going to do it right. I'm going to look foolish. People are going to see that I don't know what I'm doing, and suddenly we just stop. I think we talked about this before, but I'd like to go back to this is, there was this, doing live videos. I had this whole thing about, no, I don't have a professional image. I don't look polished. And then, so I stopped doing it. It wasn't until we started working together and I just took the baby steps.
Yeah.
I think that's going about down to time, taking the baby steps and working and playing and talking together. It's built up my confidence. And I think a lot of times that fear of not knowing, of being judged, not good enough, that feeling of not good enough or not smart enough, whatever that is, stops us from moving forward. So yeah, I think there's all these little kernels in there about let's just stop.
So you brought a good point, Sharona. You talked about lack of confidence. And so that's exactly what happens, right? When we procrastinate and we don't take action, we lose confidence in ourselves. We have self-esteem issues. And then we feel like we're a failure because we haven't accomplished what we thought we'd accomplish. So there's a lot of negative feeling around procrastination so far, right?
Yeah. Yes. And I think we need to look at, so now we've talked about why are some of the reasons we do procrastination. Let's just see about maybe making a little turn in the road and say, okay, well, we do it. There has to be a benefit to it. Yes, there is a cost. Confidence go down, self-esteem will go down. We do not keep our words to ourselves, our promises to ourselves. So what's the benefits? What's the benefits or the payoff for procrastination?
So I'm so glad you answered them because I'm really excited about this. A few weeks ago, my husband loves to share with me some articles that he reads, and he reads the New York Times. And I have some notes here. And he sent me this article about the benefits of procrastination. And I said to him, this is perfect timing. You couldn't have sent it to me at a better time. And we shared it. I shared it with you, and we had a conversation. And so there's actual benefits to procrastination. And so if you've not read the article on New York Times, it's from Adam Grant. And there's a lot of great information about it. So do you want to talk a little bit about it, and then we can share more?
So let's just talk. I want to talk about one of the things he talks about in there first is procrastination. And this actually was a revelation to me, because I was in the past one of those people that liked to wait for the very last minute to whatever I needed to do. I felt that I needed that adrenaline rush to be creative and get whatever I need done. And I realized after a while that was not cool. But what he's talking about as procrastination is that feeling that I got a bazillion emails and I got deadlines to do, and I'm going to get into the chair at 7 a.m. in the morning, and I am not leaving it until dinner time or everything is done.
Yeah.
And there's no breaks, there's no breath, there's no like, ah. So what he was doing, I think I know that feeling is I got to get it done, I got to get it done, I got to get it done, I got to get everything off the checklist done today at this time right now. And that again crushes us. What do you think? What do you think about that?
Yeah. So it was funny because my husband said to me, you have some tendencies of procrastination where whenever my phone rings or there's an email that comes in, I have to hurry up and get it done.
Yes.
The other aspect that he talked about procrastination, not pro, but pre, is the feeling of getting everything done before the deadline.
Yes.
So you can't wait to get things started. Let's say you have a project and you'll put everything else aside that you're actually doing, but you'll start on this new project and you can't let go of it, and you're doing it, and then you finish ahead of deadline, which is, like, for some people a great thing to finish ahead of deadline, but it also can mean that you're putting aside other things that may be of equal or more important value to do certain things.
And I think one of the things is, as we go through this go through this conversation and talk about a little bit more about the article, but one of the things I realized as either way, if you're pre or pro
or pre.
I was going to say post-crastination. I don't think crastination is a word on itself, but we just crastinate. But but one of the things is I think it goes back again to something I like to call balance and moderation. So again, yes, you have a deadline and you're trying to get it done before the deadline, but pushing everything else aside, your rest of the life is not taken care of, and all of a sudden there's a point, I think, of burnout.
Yeah.
And I think finding that okay, so how do I find that balance? And I'll talk a little bit more about this as we go on, but I think that's one of the tips that we need to look at or suggestions is, how do you create balance and moderation in your daily life?
Yeah, good. And another thing in the article that I really found interesting that shared the benefits of procrastination was his study he did at the University of Wisconsin, where he took two groups of students. And one of the groups, and both groups were to create a business plan.
Right.
And so the first group was to start on the business plan immediately, no breaks or anything. So he said to this group, okay, you write out a business plan right away.
Right.
And then the other group, he said, you're going to write a business plan, but you're going to take your time, and I want you to play video game. I think it was a video game. You're going to play a video game before you start the business plan. So what do you think happened between the two groups? Which group did better?
Well, I'm going to take a guess here, Claudette. I could be wrong, making up my own story, but I'm guessing the ones who did the play before going to do the business plan actually did a wee bit better.
Yes, exactly. And this brings me back to the importance of play
Yes.
and not having to do everything immediately. And I think we talked about this before, where there's a school in Texas I saw on the news, not on the media, not too long ago, where there's a school, and believe it's in Texas, that's actually promoting more playtime and breaks for the kids to play. And they're actually doing better in school than those that don't have any breaks.
Right. Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Yeah. I go back to Mr. Rogers, and he because I think as adults, as midlife women, as stepmoms, we forget that play is so dang important. And
Yeah.
he said the job of a student, the job of a child is to play, is to go to school, play, learn, figure things out. And we think that because we have to be serious and adults, that we forget to have fun. And so one of the things that if there's something that you have to do, I think one of the things is ask yourself why you have to do it, and then figure out how to make it fun.
Yeah.
Mary Poppins made up cleaning the room really fun. But the thing is, if you find ways to make it fun for you, your style, you'll find that you go through whatever task you have to do with a wee bit more enthusiasm, even if
Yeah.
it's like balancing the checkbook. You got which I never did before, but yet when I figured out a system that worked for me, that made it fun for me, balancing checkbook is okay for me now. But I had to experiment of what works. So, one of the things we can, you might want to look at is, what task could you have in front of you? Are you trying to get it all done in one big swallow? As the saying goes, you can't eat an elephant in one bite.
Yeah. It's true, right? And I think and those are the part of the reasons when we shared at the beginning, about why we procrastinate. Well, it's overwhelming, it's too big, I don't know how to get there. So I think that when we sit down and, take ourselves away from the task at hand. And so sometimes people will say, yeah, but you're procrastinating on getting started. How about we look at this and let my brain process the best way for me to do it. So giving ourselves the time for our brain to actually take in that information, because we have a lot of information in there, but let it reorganize it for the task at hand. One of the examples I know I want to share is that sometimes when I have a problem and I don't know how to tackle it, or I don't know how to deal with it, there's different things you can do. You can go for a walk. You can go for a car ride. You can go take a shower, because, if I had a whiteboard and a special marker for in the shower, I'd have awesome ideas in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes just sleeping on it, right?
Right. You know what? I'm gonna direct this to the midlife women who have that 3 a.m. wake up call. I don't know. Anybody here? Raise your hand. Raise your hand, because because when I first started with my 3 a.m. wake up call years back, I was very angry and annoyed. But this is what has happened. Now I use that time to actually just lay there and let whatever needs to burbulate up to the top of the surface to do so. And yes, so sleep on it. I like the idea of walking. Take a walk. I also, one of the things that I also believe in from my years of theater and teaching is to have rituals to get us into whatever task we need to do. So
Mm-hmm.
for some, it's organizing the desk. So organize your desk. For some, it's maybe getting out doodle paper and doodling whatever thoughts are coming in doodle paper.
That's what I
Post-it
do
notes.
here.
Yeah, or post-it notes are great. I can have a whole bunch of post-it notes on my wall just to get the ideas out. And then, and with that in mind, because I know we can start cleaning that desk and organizing, and suddenly we decide, oh, the kitchen needs to be. So you give yourself a time frame. I am going to take 10 minutes, 15 minutes just to get things organized, prepared. It's like cooking. Some people like to get everything chopped before they put it into whatever they're cooking. Some people like me like to chop as they go. You got to figure out what works for you. So yeah, before you do, fine. Or how's another thing? Just dance. Put on some really great music and just dance around the house like nobody's looking. Your cat doesn't care. Just have a good time. Again, it gets the blood flowing. It gets it gets you out of your head and out of that monkey chatter.
Yeah, that's true, right? Whenever we're procrastinating, there's part of it that's, like you said, the monkey chatter. There's this uncertainty of what you're supposed to do next. So sometimes if you just change the task at hand, then you become more creative. Then, because you'll know you need to do this. Like in the experiment, right? When they did their business, their business plan, they knew they had to do a business plan. But the people who didn't tackle it right away did something else, but they still knew in the back of their mind they had to figure it out. So whenever you have something you need to deal with and you're feeling like, that sense of overwhelm, that sense of that fear that comes up, that sense of I have no idea how to take care of it, sometimes just doing something totally different will help you to process that way of dealing with that issue, that problem, whatever that task at hand that needs to be taken care of. Now, there's a point where if you're trying to avoid it and you have to deal with it, but you're avoiding, that's another problem. And we can talk about that at another time. But for now, procrastination, if you look at it, okay, this is a time for me to just, as you said, verbally my ideas so that I can be creative in finding the best solution or the best strategies or the best steps to deal with the task at hand. Then it may not feel so overwhelming. And then you may have a sense of accomplishment, a sense of more confidence because you're dealing with that in a very creative way that you'll be happy about.
I agree. And, so we've covered a lot of information in this what did I just say? Information in this conversation. All of a sudden my brain went, what? I crossed the wire. Which happens. So a lot of information in this conversation. Oh, there we go.
Made a little jingle.
And so, before we wrap up, we talked about, why we might procrastinate. We're doing, we might feel overwhelmed. We don't know what's the next step. We might just not want to do it. The fear, whatever fear. We talked a little bit about procrastination, trying to get everything done, trying to get everything before the deadline and putting everything out. Every time I do that, I feel like it feels frantic and intense. I feel boxed in. And then we talked a little bit about procrastination. And again, I think about the difference between avoiding doing something and just taking that time, taking a breath, doing something fun, playful before we get started, or a ritual, so that way we can go in with a clear head. So anything else you want to add to that before we end today's conversation?
So no, you did a great job wrapping up. Just a few more things. We shared some strategies and tips on how you can move forward. And I think bottom line, the message is don't beat yourself up on it. Don't avoid it, but don't beat yourself up with it if you're not doing your task right away. So great job in wrapping up, Sharona.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Don't beat yourself up. You're doing okay. Everything is fine. It will get done when it gets done. It will. You will get it done, whatever that is. So before we close, let's Claudette, you want to share anything about how people can find you if they need extra support around procrastination?
Thanks, Sharona. So yes, so if you're a stepmom and you're looking for support in your relationship and you want to have someone to support you and give you some strategies in getting you moving forward, you can reach me at Claudette at stepmomcoach.com. I invite you to also visit my website. There's a lot of information there. There's some e-courses that I am starting to create and put out there. So that might be something you're interested in. And, just give me a call as well, or just look on my website and I'd love to help you and talk some more with you. So what about you, Sharona?
Yeah, if you're in a midlife woman and struggling with change and you got to do something and you've been avoiding it and you need some extra support getting there, you can reach me either through my website, www.dancingwithchangetothrive.com. You can find me on Google Plus Hangout at Midlife Women Dancing with Change. Facebook, the same, Midlife Women Dancing with Change. Woo! And on Twitter, Consult Sharona, and then Ligon Consult Sharona. So all those places, I would love to be your faithful sidekick, just to help you with strategies and tips and tools. So that way you can get to where you need to go. And not all at one time. Doable actions.
Yeah.
Doable actions. Baby steps. I like the word baby steps. Baby steps. One step, one day, one moment at a time. So I think, okay, so that's how I have to.
So anyways, thank you. And come back here every week and look for the hashtag conversations that matter most. And we'll be talking about all kinds of interesting, fun, and inspiring conversations. And if you have conversations you'd love for us to address or talk with, just let us know. Leave a comment below and we'll be happy to talk with you. All right.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.